Well, hello and welcome back to a Kooky corner of YouTube. I am not floating somewhere in the sea. I'm actually back in my own studio. Hurrah! It's been lovely to be travelling around, but it is also equally as wonderful to come back home to your own place with your own bed, even though the beds are brilliant. And I have to say, the best beds I've slept in outside of my own home. But yeah, absolutely loved Iceland. Is phenomenal. There's no other word for it. I think Norway and Iceland are two of my favourite places in the whole world. I love them. And another benefit is that when we have the sea days where we're travelling from one place to another, we get to do crafts, which is great. You can imagine this is my favourite place to be. And on this particular ship, which is called the Borealis, it's a Fred Olsen ship, and it has its own special art studio. They all have art studios, all three of the ships. So the Borealis and the Bolette both have dedicated art studios that are at the top of the ship. The Balmoral has an art studio that's down in the depths of the ship. It doesn't really get much natural light, but they have got a lot of good lighting in there. Anyway, that's by the by. The point I'm going to make is it's so nice to be with about 40, 50 other people and we're all doing a similar kind of thing. It's great, but the results from when it's all shown, because we have an exhibition at the end, everyone has put their own spin on it, take on it, and I think that is fabulous. You know, it's not prescriptive. You can go to town. Well, I'll show you what I did with mine. So the first thing we made was this little book cover, and it's needle felting and appliqued felt, and this guy is a puffin. Hope you recognise that. But you know that mine's got to be blingy and sparkly. I think he was the blingiest, sparkliest puffin in the whole group. So we were having lots of fun on our table. I met a lovely lady called Pauline, and there's a coincidental story here as well coming up. But she she was sat next to me, and we were like the terrible twins. Just we were the giggliest and naughtiest children in the room. So she said it's a very good job we weren't sat together in classes, because we would have been very distracting. But anyway, so yes, I did a needle felted book cover, which is rather lovely, with a book inside. That's a little bit of felt of mine that I was going to make him a little bow tie with at some point, just because, you know. And I've also promised to make him a pair of wire-framed glasses, because his name is Elton. That's why he's got that big E there on the star, and he's got a beautiful background. There's a bling going on there, and he's also got sparkly flippers. Look at that. And just to make sure, in case you weren't sure, I put his name on the back. So this is Elton. And my lovely friend Pauline went away, and she came back one day and she said, "I've written you a poem for Elton." I said, "Oh, have you?" And she did. She wrote me a poem for Elton, which I'm going to read to you now. So this is Pauline's poem. This is Pauline Porter. And this is the Iceland cruise. Let's get that back down there. So in case she's famous one day, I have got an original poem by Pauline. And she's called it Tori's Puffin. Tori made a puffin. It didn't have a name. She wanted it to be unique. No puffin, just the same. His background had to be just right. Bright colours just for him. Tori liked her colours bright, so nothing could be dim. Deep purple and pink now was the sky, and Tori added stars, some shining threads and sparkly bits. It looked like planet Mars. The puffin, being black and white, looked frankly a bit boring. Tori wanted colour, or he would leave her snoring. She added sparkle to his feet, which made his webbed bits glittered. Then shiny threads along his wing. No puffin could look fitter. Only one name now would suit. What else could it be? The only name to fit this bird is Elton. Don't you agree? And that is from the lovely Pauline Porter. Pauline, if you're watching this, thank you so much. You made my craft days brighter for the fact that I had an accomplice sat next to me and an enabler. So that was great. So yes, that was our first 2 craft days because it took a couple of days to complete it. We have an hour and a bit each day. So yeah, so really enjoyed that. I put a little pen loop on there as well. So the next thing we did, can you remember the Kumihimo discs where we were doing the weaving? I don't know if it's still on my desk anywhere. Yes, it probably is. I did this to show you how it worked. Well, strangely enough, Jackie, who's a lady who was our tutor, had also brought some Kumihimo discs for us to do some pens. So this is all with ribbon, so you can see the difference. It was the same size disc, and this is with ribbon, and that was with thread. And a little pen, covered pen, which is really quite easy to do. And then I just carried on with it as I would, and gave it a very long flappy tail. I'm never going to lose this in my bag, am I? Let's put it that way. So that was to go along with Elton. So I've got Elton and his pen. And then the next thing we did was some weaving. Now, this is a very clever idea. What Jackie had done was to get some, these, I think they're from the Works. I'm sure she said they're from the Works. And they are the little easels with the little, tiny little canvas on them. This is actual canvas. And we threaded our, is it the warp or the weft? I can never remember. I think it's a warp, I'm not sure. Tell me in the description down below. So we did lines of thinnish coloured yarn going down there, and then just wove into it with some of the yarns that she brought with her, which were phenomenal. She had a whole host of different yarns to choose from, and I just went crazy with this one because I just wanted to just play with it and see what I could do. And ended up with this, and obviously you can see a bit of glitter in there. I had to put a bit of bling on it, didn't I? So that was another day's little craft escapade. So a bit of weaving. So we've done needle felting, applique, weaving, Kumihimo discs, and then for the last task we made a bookmark. Now, see if I can find a book to put this on to show him off. Maybe on the back of it. Can't really see him that much on there. Kind of blending in. But here we have Hamish, the Highland cow. So our last visit was to the Shetland Isles, which I'll talk about in a minute. And we did a little bookmark. It's one of those elastic ones that fits over. And a lot of people did puffins. A lot of people did whales' tails because we saw some whales along the way. That was part of the trip. But I just wanted to do a Highland coo. So here he is. This is Hamish. Now, my friend Pauline, she made a smaller one, and he was called Hamishson because he's the son of Hamish. And he equally had a bow tie as well to show that he was part of the family. So those are the things that we made on the trip. Now, I made a few purchases as well, so I'll grab those out and show you what I got. Okay, my first purchase was from a place called the Peary Shop. I'll try and link these in the description below if you're curious. It had lots of very, very nice gift things in it. But it was kind of like lots of artwork, lots of beautiful sketchbooks and things, and all kinds of stuff in there. What did I get? 10 pegs. And because these are really metal, really kind of strong pegs, I thought they're going to come in handy for something. I had to get one in each colour, so I got 10 of these beautiful, very strong pegs in each colour. They're quite heavy, so they'd be good for weighing things down as well, but also for holding books open in sketchbooks, which is what I originally thought I might use them for. But hey, I don't know, but you know me, anything in bright colours where it's got all the different colours, I'm going to go and grab one of each. So that was my purchase from the Peary Shop. I went into a wool shop. It was called Loose loose ends. I think it's called loose ends. And I was originally looking for felting wool, but loose ends have got these beautiful yarns. These were from Uredale yarn. That's that one there. It's just Shetland, because we were in the Shetland Islands. We were on Lerwick. So this is 100% native Shetland, organic native Shetland wool. It's scoured, spinned and dyed, and then locally organically certified, and then it's dyed to reflect the landscape of Uredale. So this is it looks quite black on here, but it's a very, very deep purple, and it's just beautiful. So I got that one. And they had another one from a different shop. It's Aister. This is 100% Shetland wool again. It's a similar kind of texture to the one I just showed you, but this is from a different farm. And obviously rearing sheep, breeding sheep to sell and eat, and also produce the finest wool for making Shetland's world famous knitwear. So this is a this is a 2-ply yarn in natural and dyed shades, and they did it in all kinds of beautiful colours. It was really lovely. It was hard to pick just one from the whole set that were on there. And yeah, it's a 25-gram ball. I think this is also 25 grams. Yeah, 25 grams. But I had to get those because we were in the Shetland Isles. Now, as to what I was looking for, the lady in the shop said, if you go down the steps at the side of the shop, you'll not only find a brilliant cafe, but you'll find a shop that is doing felting wools and all kind of spinning things. And I thought, ooh, this is really right up my street. So the shop is called El D'Amato, and it's been there for about a year. I think the gentleman said it's been open. Really lovely shop in Lerwick, and those are the details there. But they stocked this beautiful felt. Well, for me, it's a felting wool. It could be a spinning wool. It's this glorious, beautiful tops. Well, it's not really a tops, is it? Is it a tops? No, it's carded. Hand-dyed combed top. So it's a combed top for spinning or felting. 100% wool. Look at the colours on this. Look at it. How could I leave that? That had my name written all over it. And it's by Bewitched You. And it's Shetland wool, obviously. And that is the lovely lady who made this. It's all made in small batches with professional acid dyes, and it says no two braids will be the same, each is slightly different. Well, this one, as soon as I walked in, that's coming home with me. It's beautiful. So I got that and made sure that I could see where to get some more from if I needed it. So I got that. I got some felting needles because I didn't take any felting needles with me, and the reason I got the felting needles I'll show you in a minute. It's another little thing I did. But I also bought some different colours. These are all Shetland wools, hand-dyed Shetland wools, just small amounts, because I wanted to make something. And the thing I wanted to make, in a moment I'll show you, is this disco snail. Now, I haven't finished him. He needs his antennae on top there, and he needs a little mouth, but also he needs some little beads and sequins stitched into his shell because he is a disco snail. Now, there's a story behind this. So I went, after I'd been in this felting wool shop, I went to the cafe, and I put my bags down on a bench, and there's a lady, a very kind lady, sat in front of me, and I said, could you look after my bags while I go and order my coffee? Because she had to go into the shop to order it. And they gave you one of these little buzzer things when it was ready. So she said, yeah, fine, no problem, you leave them there, I'll look after them. So I came back with my mocha, sat down, and we got to talking. And she said, the weather has been really, really lovely down south. I said, yes. I said, I've heard that it's been extremely beautiful in Devon. And she said, Devon? I said, yes. She said, whereabouts in Devon? I said, Newton Abbot. She said, well, blow me. She says, I live in Paynton, which is the next town along from us. So we got to talking, and she saw what I'd bought. I showed her what I bought from the shop, and she said, my granddaughter would absolutely adore that. And she says, what are you going to do with it? I said, I'm going to make some disco snails. She said, oh my gosh. She said, my granddaughter, and her name was Meadow. So, hello, Meadow. I heard all about you, and I heard all about your beautiful snails. Apparently, Meadow had been making snails, and they were all called Greg. Every single one of them was called Greg. So she was telling me all the names of the Greg. There's Bus Stop Greg, because bus Stop Greg was just waiting at a bus stop. The one I remember the most was the one that didn't have a shell. It was just like it looked a little bit like a slug. So Grandma said to her, "Is that the slug one then? He's not a snail, he's a slug." No, 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 no. That is Greg the snail. The reason he doesn't have a shell is he is eviction notice Greg. So he'd had an eviction notice and had to move out of his shell. And I thought that was absolutely brilliant. I think Meadow's idea of snails called Greg. They were all called Greg. There's a lot of them, all called Greg. So for you, Meadow, this is going to be Disco Greg. And he's going to have some beautiful beads put on him. And yes, and some antennae when I finished him. And if your grandma is watching, or if you're watching, if you want to call in, Disco Greg is going to be yours. So, so yes, I think Disco Greg is going to have a lot of pals because I really enjoyed making them. So it's just needle felted. I bought myself, as I said, some needle felting needles and a very cheap needle felting block, and I got these back to the ship and literally went up, found myself a lovely comfy seat and started making Disco Greg. So that was my trip to the Shetlands. Another couple of things I got while I was there, and one I got when I came back, so I'll show you those now. Now, as it was Iceland, I am in love with the folk tales and folklore of Iceland, and I had seen this book and wanted it, but it was kind of out of my range because it's out of print. You can't get hold of it in the UK for some strange reason, or you can, but you can get it second hand, and it's quite a lot of money. And it's by an artist and a writer called Brian Pilkington. Now, Brian Pilkington has lived in Iceland for the last, can't remember how many years, quite a few years, I think it says in here. But this book on the Yule Lads, now this is going to be great for Christmas because I'm going to go to town with this one. I want to make each of these beautiful Yule Lads in one way or another to celebrate. So these are all his illustrations for the Yule Lads, and I think it's beautiful. Brian Pilkington. Little bit about the Yuletide celebrations, but then we go into the whole backstory. So this is Grilla. She's a hideous, ugly ogress, as you can see here. In some descriptions, she has 3 heads. So in some of the stories, she has 3 heads. So the official Icelandic word for icicle is grillakurti, or Grilla's candle. Very cool. So these are her husbands. She had 2 husbands, one of whom she ate quite handily. The other one was not very well, apparently, didn't live very long. So she didn't have much luck with her husbands, or maybe she was just a little bit hungry that year. These are the Yule Lads. So these are all the ones, and it goes from the 12th of December, and for each of the days up until Christmas Eve, you get a different Yule Lad to celebrate with. It tells you all about them and what they do when they come to visit and what you need to leave out for them so that they don't do something awful. I absolutely was entranced. I had to have this book. So this is what I bought in the Golden Circle in Iceland. There's a shop. We were looking over somewhere and I thought, I've got to have this. And it was actually in English. They have the Icelandic version, a French version, I do believe, and this one was in English. And the last one is a Yule cat. the Yule cat, who I have loved for years and years and years, and now I've got an actual picture of him to go on, a little bit of a story about him. So he's going to be celebrated during Christmas time this year, so keep yourself tuned if you want to see what I do with all the characters from this book. This I didn't buy on the way, but it was waiting for me when I got back. Now, Megan Lapp has got, I think, about 3-4 books out. I've got all of them anyway. I've got all of them. This one has just been printed in the UK. That's called Crochet Monsters. Right up my alleyway, as you can imagine. And yes, literally, you can make, there's 35 body patterns, you mix and match them, and you can make thousands upon thousands of possibilities to make your own monster in your own way. And it's pack jam full of how to make your own monster. So these are going to be coming as well. To have a go at these. So where to begin, tips and tricks, your monster planning sheet. So you've got to plan out your monster before you start. And it starts out with body options. Now, if you do an open mouth on your monster, you have to do that first, apparently. So that's the first option there. And then you've got blob style bodies, cylinder bodies, egg-shaped bodies, sphere bodies, square bodies, eyeball monster bodies. And literally, for all the limbs, you've got something different. It is an amazing book. It's very much like in the same format as there are other books, where you can pick and choose the bits to make up your creature. There's your monster planning sheet. There's quite a bit to read with little tips and tricks on how to put things together, where to start. But you've got little options with kind of pictures of the eventual style. Egg-shaped bodies, that looks quite a nice one. Cylinder bodies. The blob body, quite like that. I love this guy. Look at him, and I like his horns. So yes, this is going to be a little project for me to make a few of these. I've got loads of yarn to use up, and so this is going to be ideal for that. So there we are. That's Crochet Monsters by Megan Lapp, and I think she's also got an Etsy shop. Kind of think she's got an Etsy shop as well. I'll try and check out and put it in the description if she has, and you'll be able to go and have a look. But this is from Amazon, and I wanted it on the day it was published so that I could dive in and make myself some monsters. So it's a new book out in the UK. I don't know if it's been printed before in America. Maybe came out earlier, but this was 2024. Anyway, I hope that's caught you up on where I've been, what I've been doing, and what I've been buying. And I hope you've enjoyed this little look into it all. I'll be back here soon with something else pretty soon, because I've got a lot of things to catch up on, and I'm not going to be travelling anywhere in the foreseeable. Well, not that I know of, but you never know. So don't forget to like and subscribe. Means a lot to any channel that you watch here on YouTube. If you are enjoying the content that comes out, then liking and subscribing doesn't cost you a thing, and it means an awful lot to the people who produce the videos. So all the channels that you love, don't forget to go and like and subscribe. I'll be back here, as I said, with something else. So look after yourself. Bye for now.